Historic Jamestown is located in Williamsburg, Virginia, right on the James River. Not to be confused with Jamestown Settlement, which is 5 minutes north of here. That is a living history museum run by the state of Virginia, which looks really cool and interesting, but we did not go to that. We went to the Historic Jamestowne, which is run by the National Park Service and is the actual site of Jamestown, which is the first successful permanent English settlement dated May of 1607. We are going to go over the price of admission real quick. For adults 16 and up, it's $30 per adult, and 15 and under are free. Now, that gets you in for 7 consecutive days to this whole historic Jamestown area, the James Fort site, the Memorial Church, Newtown, the Archaeologists Museum, the Dale House Cafe, the Glass House, the Island Loop Drive, and Yorktown Battlefield, which is another national park site, and it was our last major American Revolutionary battle where we won the Revolutionary War. Now, we got in with a reduced rate admission. If you have the America the Beautiful pass or several other passes, you can get in for $15 an adult instead of $30. And there's also free admission for U.S. citizens with permanent disability, active duty military pass holders, or Gold Star families. So there are other options. There are free admission, there are reduced admission, and of course the full price admission, which I showed you. And say you go to Yorktown Battlefield first, that's $15 to get in. So that $15 will go towards your admission into the historic Jamestown. So it depends on which way you go first. We went into historic Jamestown first, which got us into Yorktown Battlefield for free later on that day. We went the same day, but of course it's available for 7 days in a row. You don't have to do it all in one day. You could stretch it out a little bit. As you can see by the map, Jamestown is on a peninsula, and when you enter from the north, the first thing you can visit is the Jamestown Glass House, where you can view the original ruins of the original glass house built in 1608, and then you can further along walk on the trail and see where they are actually still making glass there, and you can purchase some. We loved this area. We give it a 10 out of 10. We learned so much. Like, did you know glass was made of 60% sand, 15% soda ash, 15% potash, and 10% lime? The colonists gathered sand off the beach. Soda ash was burned seaweed or marsh. Potash was burned wood ash, and lime was crushed oyster shells. And did you know that the natural color of most glass is green? Because sand has iron oxide or rust in it naturally, and it says to change the color, a small amount of metal oxide is added before you melt it. Like nickel or iron makes green, manganese makes clear, cobalt makes blue, carbon makes brown, silver makes yellow, tin makes white, and copper or gold makes red glass. I thought that was so neat. Further down into the park, you will hit the visitor center. Now, this is where you will purchase your tickets if you haven't already, and where you can view the museum, and there's so many artifacts and history you can learn in that museum. And then when you exit the back of the visitor center, you'll walk along a footbridge, and it will take you to the actual historical area. While walking over the bridge, you can see how this marshy area would be very hard to live in. The original settlers definitely didn't have it easy. About over half of them died of disease or starvation, and they actually burnt the original Jamestown in 1610 and set sail back to England when two supply ships met them en route, and they ended up turning back around and going back and starting over again. One of the first things you see as you cross the bridge is this tercentennial monument. It was erected in 1907, 300 years after the initial first settlement landed. So this is over 100 years old, which is really cool to see. We saw a few of these erected. They're still doing archaeological digs there today, which is really cool to see that. And in case you get hungry while visiting, they have the Dale House Cafe where they sell soup, salads, and sandwiches and desserts, and it sits right on the James River. It was a lovely place to have lunch. The next place we visited was the Archaearium Museum. It houses over 4,000 artifacts from the 1607 to the 1624 time period. And it's really cool. They built this museum on top of the old Jamestown State House, which is where the governor and his counselors would meet, and you actually can see the ruins through the glass plates in the floor. It was neat to learn that once these wells were no longer used for water, they were used for garbage pits. This is where they dumped a lot of their garbage, and this is where they found a lot of the artifacts that you can see here today. John Smith, the first governor of Virginia, is very well known. No, he did not marry Pocahontas. That was John Rolfe. But John Smith did help keep those first settlers alive and help them to start this settlement here in Virginia. And he was only here 2 short years. He got burnt in a fire in 1609 on a ship, and he went back to England and never returned. But there's so much information on him. I encourage you to Google and read about him. You'll learn a lot of interesting facts. This is what some of the buildings may have looked like, and even Queen Elizabeth II came and visited back in 2007, and I think that was really cool to see. The church you see here today was built in 1906, but when you go inside, you can still see the foundation of the church. They call it the second church that was built here in 1617 through 1619.